name's Jeffrey Hayzlett. I'm chairman of the C-Suite Network and also host on C-Suite TV and C-Suite Radio. So we're going to be talking about mostly the art community today, although I have a CEO community which we're going to be using a hero coin. It was a group that was started a number of years ago by Rob Ryan. Rob sold his company for $20.4 billion and created an organization called the Hero Club. And when Rob sold his company, he gave away a percentage of that company to every single employee, making the single largest number of millionaires ever created in one day. And we've taken that organization in the last year and a half and grown it by about 400%. And the Hero Coin is going to be a significant part of it because it's about CEOs who are doing the right thing, which is you don't always find as much, at least in the news anymore. So I want to kick it off right away because we have so much to talk about and a little time to get it done. I want to call on Jeff and Dusty because you're making an announcement here today, and I thought we'd kick it off with that if we could.
Great. Sure. Cameron, you want to start that? Yeah.
So I'm Dusty, and I'm one of the co-founders of Street Cuts along with Jeff. And I'm the photographer behind the photo blog, The Dusty Rebel. And I've been documenting lots of things, but street art in particular for well over a decade, particularly illegal or uncommissioned work. And street art is often described as ephemeral because it has a second life that it takes when it hits the street. So as soon as it hits the street, it has another life where it eventually is destroyed or disappears for some reason or another. And so when we started to develop Street Cuts, one of the things that was most interesting to me was taking work that would usually be ephemeral, that disappear, and preserving it digitally, but not just preservation, but giving it another life cycle in various platforms. And the other thing was that street artists are often exploited, they work for exposure. So the other thing was that the collective of artists that we've compiled are on board and we work very closely with. They own the rights to their work and that they're compensated for their art. So those were two things that were really important for me getting involved. And yeah, Jeff.
Yeah, Cameron, you got the slides? Oh.
No slides, but at least we got coin. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wanted to take you through the, oh, here we go.
Fantastic.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great time.
Thank you, tech
Go
team.
to the next
You
one.
can go to the next slide, Cameron. The best way to show you what Dusty was talking about and what we're doing here, next slide please, is to take you through the history of a street cut from the street to an NFT. So meet the Drunk Cat. The Drunk Cat was created by City Kitty, and it was on the walls of Crosby Street down in Soho in August 2015. Dusty took that picture and it doesn't exist anymore there. Fast forward, as Dusty was talking about, we built the platform streetcuts.co. And about 2 years later, October 2017, it's a digital asset now, and the Drunk Cat is a shareable sticker, and we have an iOS app for that, and anybody can share it. And we also created physical stickers. You can share that in the physical world as well. The NFT bug got in all of our head, but it also really met a need, which Dusty was talking about, which is it would be cool for not just collectible, but ownable for the artist and for the community. So fast forward, worked very, if you go, I'm sorry, back to that slide. Worked closely with Cameron and CoinCred over the last year, and was very exciting to create these coins, which are representation of that original art. So Drunk Cat lives as a cred coin, what Jody was just talking about. It's one of one, and it's authenticated. It's from the artist. The artist gets paid for it. One thing that was very cool working with cred.coin was in the world of collectibles, the artists often get screwed, right? Because something gets sold for 10 creds, and if it takes off, how does the artist benefit for that down the line? So we built in a royalty system that if something becomes valuable, the artist is always benefiting from that. But we really do want to stop there, and this is also something, the theme of the panel, which is something's collectible, it's shareable, but how is it actionable? And I think the NFT world's always wondering that. So we worked with Festival Land, and Festival Land is a district within Decentraland, and it's the event space, it's where the concerts will be, and we're announcing today that we're the exclusive street art NFT provider for Festival Land. So the Drunk Cat that existed in the real world 2.5 years ago, next week will be sold as an NFT on our site, and that NFT will be only usable. You can share it, and as we have with any NFTs. But if you want to, when the festival land is up and running, as the owner of that NFT, it is your right to put it up on the wall. You can lease it to somebody if they have a coffee space within the world. So we're very excited about that and the space in general, and we'll see what happens.
I almost thought you were going to say the drunk cat went through AA and sobered up and was changing. Oh, come on, that's funny. I don't
That's
care
another
who
NFT.
over here say. Yeah. Hey, Ron, you're working on communities. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about the community side?
Sure. I think that it's a nice segue. It's an excellent job by these guys, by the way.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I come from the angel investing startup space, and I've got a particular passion for communities, social communities. And I saw, when I looked at Coin.cred, a new way for brands in particular, I talk in general terms, to create something based on their original art, properties, or whatever, that they could put into the hands of consumers in a digital metaphor, of course, that created social engagement. And that's the whole orientation that I have. I was so excited about it after seeing the Coin.cred platform. I came to the team, Jody and to Cameron, and I said, I'd love to do something with you guys around a community model. And so we came back with a art.cred. I don't know, there we go. So this is actually Chaz's content here, but art.cred is a platform built on top of Coin.cred, powered by Coin.cred. And it's basically a vertical interest NFT community, if you think about it. I don't use terms like NFT when I'm talking to people too much. I'm not even sure I understand what it is, but I got digital trading cards. That works for me. Yeah. Fits my metaphor. And because when I'm looking at it from an angel investor or an investor who goes, how does this become a business? How does it drive scale and growth on a large level? And can it start somewhere that's easy, inexpensive, but meaningful? And that's why I'm so excited to have been a part of being part of art.cred, because it's got all those components to it. But this is the beginning of it. And
we'll turn it over to Chaz. Chaz, you're an artist, you're a sculptor, and you're like Dusty, you're out there creating things. How's this fit in for you?
Let me give you a little bit of perspective on how I got here. 20 years of advertising in Boston, San Francisco first, which led to another 10 years of internet startups in Portland, Oregon, followed by
hold it a little closer.
Followed by another 10 years as a fine artist, also in Portland, Oregon. And what all that gave me is a very clear appreciation of brand, but I think brand has to be seen in perspective as well. So imagine a visual here of a pyramid with brand being at the top.
Next slide.
Brand is predicated on value. If there's no perceived value, there is no brand. You can move on to the next one, which brings us to differentiation. If there is no differentiation, nothing unique in what you do, then there is no reason for the audience, the customer, to prefer your brand over another. Which brings us then to, if nobody knows your brand exists, if there's no attention, then again, there is no brand, which brings us down to the last one, which is social. The reason I'm here, the reason Ron got me involved in this was really based on building a community as any artist, any company trying to develop a brand realizes that it all comes down to, do you have a community? Can you build a community? So I'm seeing NFTs as being really the foundation of expanding the community of collectors that I have currently to ultimately increase the value of the art that I'm creating.
Cameron, would you like to frame something up for us as well?
Yeah, so FYI guys, that was all Chaz's artwork that you guys just saw on the screen, which is awesome. So we've been working with all different communities. Like the guys have mentioned, our platform's called CredCoins. That's the reason we're involved in this space. It's the reason why we're hosting this event today. It's our interest in this space. And we've been working with all these fantastic communities, and each community has given us this incredible feedback as to what they think they can get out of NFTs, or what value they can create from NFTs, or what they need to create value from NFTs. And it's different from everyone, from every community. The common theme, which is the title of this panel today, is actually actionable NFTs. So for Chaz's perspective, it's fairly similar to the Street Cuts perspective. where what they want to do is they want to distribute art, they want to garner feedback from their community, and they want to have some kind of mechanism to be remunerated for that artwork in the future. So a great example, I don't think we gave a real example, but Pablo Picasso sells an artwork for 10 euros 100 years ago, or whenever it was. It sells today for 5 million. He sees nothing. His foundation sees nothing from that. What we can do with NFTs is we can actually build in royalties for artists. So artists like Chaz, who distribute his art as an NFT, we can actually build into a smart contract the ability for Chaz to receive a percentage as a royalty whenever that NFT is actually traded. Similarly for street cuts, we can create actionable NFTs that allow people to connect with the artist. They can see where the artwork originally was. They can learn about it. They can see videos. And the NFT actually becomes this object that people can own. They can feel connected to the art, and they can actually learn more about it. They can connect with other people who have the same interest in that art. I think back to Jeff's example. So Jeff's been talking about hero coins. Jeff uses the phrase currency for recognition.
Right.
So Jeff is a CEO. He networks with a lot of CEOs. He's a speaker. He speaks at a lot of CEO events. The problem that he hears from a lot of CEOs is that they want a way to distribute recognition among their peers, among their teams, among their companies. And they want that recognition to be actionable. They want it to be like, instead of just a kid with a gold sticker on his shirt at school, he wants it to be something that actually holds value. It needs to be something that they can go, oh, okay, I've received 10 of these great coins from Jeff because I've, led my team or done something great at work. And what these coins or what these NFTs actually allow that company to do or that CEO to do is create those coins or create a way of redeeming those coins for some kind of value. And that could be anything. It could be, company swag, like a hat or a shirt, or it could be invitation to a company dinner or an awards night or anything like that. And furthermore, Jeff himself is an author, as many of you probably know. And when we have an NFT that talks about Jeff's book, it can actually have a call to action to download a digital copy of the book or get a discount on Amazon. So what we're really interested in is how we can tie NFTs to actions, whether it's redemption, whether it's collection, whatever it is. And you guys, like Jody has said, and we've talked about it a couple of times, you guys are all going to be receiving NFT swag bags. You should have them by now. And every one of those coins actually has a call to action. So they're an example of actionable NFTs. And a little shout out to Vault. If you guys have seen next to the registration desk, John and the team at Vault, they're actually doing something awesome today where they can show you how you can redeem a Vault NFT for a coffee using their coffee machine. So they'll show you the mobile app, click a button that says redeem, and it'll actually pour you a coffee, which is really cool.
For some communities, I think NFTs have the ability to add value in such a way that, say, Apple has done for a music artist in terms of really taking that up. And, with the artists, let's get back, I would circle back to the artists. Galleries are closing all over the place. They've just been shutting down, and it's been very difficult for artists to make money. What exactly will NFT do for artists from a monetary perspective?
Well, in terms of street art, street art itself was sort of a way to bypass the gallery system in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You're able to get your art to the people without having a middleman necessarily.
And more control of your brand.
More control. You can get fans. You can start selling your art. But there's always been a difficulty really monetizing, particularly for street artists, their work, for all different reasons. Just because you have a lot of people like your work doesn't mean they're going to buy it. And so finding an audience outside of even the street art fan base is important. But so it adds a new way of selling your work, but it's still, for me, I could still see the connection, at least with street artists, the renegade aspect, an alternate way of getting art to the people. But particularly, maintaining ownership was one of the things I was really interested in, the rights to their work, but also continuing to make money, because these are artists that are so often exploited, as most artists are exploited.
Yeah.
So, from my perspective.
But I like the way that you can actually you get value all the way through the exchange. 100 years from now, you can still have value where you didn't have that before, like using Picasso is a great example.
That's amazing.
So let me ask a question, because all of us have come from diverse backgrounds of business, education, being artists, and so what do you see as the path for the digital coins or NFTs? What do you think is the actionable plan? Because an idea without implementation is nothing but air. And what do you think's the next kind of thing to make this, worthy of someone's behavior and capturing attention?
I'll have a go at that.
Sure.
I think all of us in the room today, I think we all face the same problem. I think we're all in love with NFTs because we know the power of them. But I think we're hyper-focused on NFTs. And what we need to do is really clear up our messaging. I think
Yes.
whoever opened the talk today, I think it was Michael Casey, actually, he talked about NFTs and also Ian Wishingrad, he talked about it too, that, it's so hard to explain. And I think we've all had that problem where you try to explain to your partner or your family what an NFT is. You end up looking like a fool talking about digital cats. And then you talk about non-fungible, and people think that fungible is something to do with fungal or something like that. So we all know about the tech, but I think we really need to move to a point where it's an underlying tech, it's an enabling technology. People don't need to know about it. It should be something as invisible as a database. We need to focus on creating really great user experiences. I think that's the way to get people adopting NFTs.
Yeah, I would say 100%. The messaging and making that clear, the success is going to be how this is adopted to the general public. I mean, funny story, we posted on our Instagram, Street Cuts apps. We're about to speak here at the non-fungible token, and our street artists are, of course, clever. They're like, thank you, what the fuck is fungible? And that down the line when I was, excited about it, but what is this? And totally agree with you.
Chaz.
Jeff, I thought Ian made a great point earlier today in really focusing on the benefit, not the technology.
Yeah.
And that's really all it ever comes down to. That's how communities are built around benefit, around what they have in common, about what they share, and they self-organize. So getting an NFT into a community, building a community, and letting the community share and expand the value of it, that I think is the real attraction for me.
I'm a former chief marketing officer of a pretty major company, and I've always known that you get people to buy, you get people to do when you capture behavior. Do you think you're going to be able to capture behavior here? I think that is the most critical piece here, is to make it so easy that people don't have to think about what an NFT is, but understand it's my recognition coin. It's my way of giving back a value. It's my way of giving a tip, a token, giving some money to someone.
But I think it's an important distinction to point out that that community isn't just your customer base.
Correct.
The community is the creator and the consumer. And that connecting, I think we have as much challenge explaining to our artists as we explain, I think there's actually a sophisticated buyer base that are the first people that are understanding NFTs that like what we're doing. We're having as much trouble explaining this to artists when we can just show them, they're gonna hop on and elevate that. So it's not just, hey, buy this collectible. Is this digital asset has more life to it. So if you're one of 10 people that own this, those 10 people are going to have a dialogue with me. There's going to be an extension of that. And when that happens, I think something really hot can happen. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I saw a TV commercial recently where Cheerios was giving away something they called Buzz Coins, right? Okay, now, we don't have the budget for that, but I see an entrance path for NFTs to be used by brand marketers to create something of perceived value that doesn't have a high cost structure, where they can leverage the existing social media networks and communities, whatever you want to call them. And I think that I look at that as the NFTs have got to start somewhere to get to this point where a lot of people are mentally right now in this room. Well, where's the real value? I don't think it happens on a broad enough scale and right now. I think there has to be some ways for NFTs to be distributed that leverage the existing systems and can do it in scale. And just to what you said, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I wish I'd said it as elegantly, but when 5,000 people will get an NFT from an artist they know, and let's just start with free, because there's nothing wrong about free.
Yep.
And then that's when the magic starts happening, because at that point they don't care about fungible, they don't care about tokens, they don't care about blockchain. It's got something cool from an artist, or a singer.
Or whoever. I mean, I
Yes.
really, truly believe it doesn't make a difference. It's about the community. That's what I love about NFTs, because it's about capturing things inside the community. We're going through a massive change in media. where it doesn't care about the eyeball. It's not about eyeballs and ears anymore. It's about hearts and minds. And brands are starting to figure that out. And I'm talking about any kind of brand, whether it's a brand of an artist, a brand of a company, a brand of an organization. And how do you monetize or engage the community in such a way that has some tangible benefits from it, and that everybody's recognized and everybody gets value from it? I think that's going to be very important. How about you want to one last thing you want to add before, because we're running out of time?
I think we're out of time.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I'd like to say, just a shameless plug, is that, you know, Ron's saying that it's the first step is trying to get adoption from communities, giving away things for free. With our platform, Cred Coins, you guys can check it out at coin.cred. That's the platform that's actually powering the swag bag that you guys are all getting. We actually white label for different communities. One of those communities being art.cred, another community being streetcuts.cred, and the
Hero.
project that we're working on for Jeff.
Yeah,
Hero
well, and the
Club
other
Cred.
thing, I've got to say, it's easy as hell. I mean, it's just, it was like, literally, I was talking to you in a matter of seconds, we got it.
Yeah.
We said, let's go do it, you did it. The other thing, I want to give a big shout out to Jody Rich, too, because Jody told me he was going to do this about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. I said, you're fucking nuts. And he is, but he did it anyway, and he did a good job. So give the panel a round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And he-